The Hoenn region is special to me. It was the first region I ever explored, spending late nights huddled beneath the blankets as the backlit screen of the Game Boy Advance SP dried out my eyes. It's probably why I need glasses today. As a Pokémon fan through and through, the desire to make a joke about too much water is strong, but I'll drop it for your sake, lest a cascade of them follow. Don't want to pour it on too thick. Okay, that's enough. I've always liked the yin and yang look to Hoenn's map, where the water and the land occupy equal and opposite portions of the world. It subtly communicates the flow of the game, as you can't surf the waves until midway through. Land and then water is how it goes, and I think all of this symbolizes nicely the core struggle between the box legendaries. But today we're here to talk about the wardens of Hoenn's competitive Pokémon scene, the gym leaders. Just from a design perspective, these are the top of the top for me. Well, in the remakes, that is. The original games also have some top-tier designs, but then some others are just people in everyday clothes. Fashion is not the criteria for today's list, though. Today, we will be ranking all 8 gym leaders in Hoenn based on how strong they are. Not absolute strength, though. How strong they are relative to where they are in the game. I find that the gym leaders who are really strong relative to the resources at hand tend to be the most memorable. Just look at Whitney. Not the strongest team on paper, but in the context of being the 3rd gym leader, she's an all-timer. By the way, I have done similar versions of this video with both Kanto and Johto. I encourage you to check them out after this. Before we get started, just one more note. We will be using the gym leaders and teams from Emerald for this list. While the updated graphics and mechanics of the remakes are really nice, the teams in Emerald have more Pokémon and often leverage the older mechanics to their advantage. So Emerald it is. Now, finally, let's start our list with number 8. The weakest gym leader in Hoenn is not, as you might expect, Roxanne. No, for the 3rd region tier list in a row, the first gym leader has escaped being the worst. Instead, at number 8, we have Brawly, the fighting-type gym leader of Dewford Town. In a vacuum, his team doesn't look particularly bad. Fighting type isn't terrible, and his Makuhita can be really scary with Bulk Up and a Citrus Berry. But what undoes Brawly's team is simply the lack of attacking moves that he has. Every single one is fighting type. Ergo, with one Sableye, which can conveniently be found next door in Granite Cave, you can sweep the battle without taking any damage. If that wasn't enough though, both evolutions of the incredibly common Wurmple are 4 times resistant to fighting type attacks. One Pokemon that counters a gym battle I am willing to let slide, but there are too many options to beat Brawly without a second thought. The one thing I will say is that his rematch battles in Emerald are pretty cool, but that's not going to save him from number 8 on this list. At number 7, we have Roxanne, the rock-type gym leader of Rustboro City. While in the Johto tier list Faulkner climbed pretty high, here in Hoenn the first gym leader doesn't have the same oomph. Just like Brock before her, Roxanne is too easily countered by the water and grass-type starter Pokemon. To make things worse, if you aren't playing with a level cap, you can evolve your Torchic into Combuskin before the battle, and that makes 3 out of 3 starters with super effective stab attacks. Her Geodudes are just pushovers with their 4 times weaknesses to water and grass. But in Roxanne's defense, her Nose Pass can be quite a problem. When Bullet Seed is your best super effective attack across the board, it can be hard to break through Nose Pass's surprisingly high special defense. To add to that, the Oran Berry is a big deal, and Rock Tomb is a strong move this early in the game. All in all, Roxanne is actually pretty decent. It's just that Hoenn has a large number of competent gym leaders. In my mind, Brawly is the only real pushover, so while you may be 7, don't be too down, Roxanne. At number 6 is where I start to split hairs, and where I think your list may start really separating from mine. Speaking of, I'd love to hear your lists in the comments below. And I'm not just engagement farming here, I had a lot of trouble sorting out Hoenn. Other perspectives are much appreciated. For number 6 though, I selected Norman of Petalburg City. Kind of surprising when his ace Slaking is so formidable on paper, but again, Hoenn is a tough slate of gym leaders. So why is Norman not higher? Really, for me, it just comes down to his Pokemon not hitting harder. Spinda can confuse with Teeter Dance, but it's not doing major damage. Slash is good on Vigoroth, I'll give you that, but it's still not a fully evolved Pokemon. Linoone looks scary with Belly Drum, but is too often just picked off when it cuts its own HP in half. And finally, the Slaking is as formidable as they come, but it's pretty easy to cheese this Titan with Dig or Protect. Even without them, moving once every other turn is just brutal. So while Norman is still plenty effective, he's not super effective. So I guess normal is a fitting type, because it can't hit super effective. Anyway, bad joke. Moving on. At number 5, rounding out the bottom half of Hoenn's gym leaders is Tate and Liza of Moss Deep City. It surprised me when I was putting my list together and found these two this low. And let me say, they're a great gym leader pair. Calm Mind is a real setup move on 2 of the Mons, and the double battle format works really well with this team. Ignore one of the Pokemon for too long, and it can run away with the battle. There's also not a ton of good Dark-type Pokemon to counter the Psychic Gym, especially with Emerald taking place before the physical special split. So why are Tate and Liza in the bottom half? Surf. That's it. It all comes down to Surf being incredibly broken in Gen 3. For this generation, Surf, already a really strong move, hits both opposing Pokemon, and crucially, not your teammate. Hoenn also has a lot of good to great Water-type Pokemon. Tate and Liza choosing 3 Pokemon weak to Water-type attacks is nothing short of devastating from a strategic perspective. You live on an island in Hoenn. How did this get past the idea phase? Surely they are just getting wiped over and over by the trainers of Hoenn. It's a tough look for the penultimate gym leaders, and all but wipes away their otherwise really cool team. 5 it is, guys. Also, one note, there is a big level jump to Tate and Liza, which can make them seem super strong if you run right to the gym. I think it's worth noting this advantage they have, but I am ranking this list as if you had a strategy going into the battles. This is also why Norman ranks so low here as compared to if you were pulling people fresh off of playing the game for the first time. At number 4 we have Watson, the electric-type gym leader of Mauville City. Unlike Lieutenant Surge, this 3rd gym leader who specializes in electric types came to play. Stay tuned to see if Iono can do the same in the Paldea rankings. But back to Watson, I actually had a really hard time between him and Tate and Liza for this 4th spot. Watson has a really solid team for this early in the game. The Paralysis is super annoying, Magneton is really bulky, and Manectric can start to run away if the Howls pile up. As I'm sure you can imagine though, the ground type is a major problem for Watson. Quick Attack, Sonic Boom, and Self-Destruct aren't really viable counters to them either. So why did Watson get the edge over Tate and Liza? Well, the only real options for ground types against Watson are Marshtomp or Geodude. I know it's really likely that I missed one, so if I did, let me know in the comments. A genuine thank you in advance for letting me know if I did. One of those is a starter, so if you didn't pick Mudkip, that's one option gone. Now Geodude is still a great option as it basically solos the gym, but that's still only one Pokemon. I had to ask myself, what do I think is more damaging? 1, maybe 2 super strong counters to Watson, or the 10 odd capable Surf users that can wash away Tate and Liza? At the end of the day, I gave it to Watson. We are now entering the top 3, the real elite of the elite in Hoenn. And for what it's worth, I think that this top 3 is the best we've seen so far. Top to bottom, Hoenn came to play. At number 3, after much deliberation, I went with Flannery, the Fire-type gym leader of Lava Ridge City. This one was really tough for me, as in a vacuum, I think that Flannery's Torkoal is sneakily one of the strongest gym leader aces in the whole series. First of all, Sunny Day is probably going to be active during the battle, and that immediately halves the damage of any incoming Water-type attacks. In addition, that lets Torkoal rip off a super-powered Overheat, and then do it again immediately after, thanks to its held White Herb. If that wasn't enough, Body Slam is a solid attacking option that can paralyze too. If you come at a Torkoal with ground-type attacks, you run into its crazy high physical defense. Then, almost as an insult, it has Attract. You get paralyzed and attracted, and it's basically over. Why Flannery didn't make the top of this list is how easy it is to roll the rest of her team. Slugma, Numel, even Camerupt are pretty easily dealt with. If you can KO them before they set up Sunny Day, even better. But I have to be honest that Torkoal is enough to lift Flannery onto the Hoenn Gym Leader podium for me. And all the credit to you for it, Flannery. At number 2, The runner-up to Hoenn's gym leaders, I have Winona of Four Tree City. I think some of you might be surprised at this. Winona's Dragon Dancing Altaria is famous, and for good reason. Dragon Dance is one of the best boosting moves in Pokemon, and Altaria can quickly run away with things if it gets 1 or 2 going. Then, if that wasn't enough, the rest of Winona's team is full of solid Pokemon in their own right. Other than Little Swablu, that's 3 respectable flying types with interesting secondary typings. And that's my favorite part of this team. No one typing runs through it without a second thought. Tropius and Altaria can deal with electric types. Skarmory and Pelipper can take on ice types, and Skarmory even has something to say to rock types. It's an incredibly well-balanced team with a strong sweeper in the back. No gym leader team is perfect, that's part of the restraint of building in the monotype mold, but this one gets pretty close. Finally, at number 1, the strongest gym leader in Hoenn is Hoenn, the water-type gym leader of Sootopolis City. The original mentor of Wallace is doing pretty well for himself, clearly. Also, this marks the first time that we have an 8th gym leader winning a ranking. Seems like that would happen more often, but by the time you get to Gym 8, you have so many options for dealing with potential opponents. It makes sense that they slip a little in the rankings. But what makes Hoenn different? At first glance, not much actually. Love Disc is a joke, sorry buddy. Whiscash is evaporated by a piece of lettuce, and both Celio and Crawdaunt can get smoked by a fighting type attack. Honestly, Breloom can solo these first 4 easily. So what gives? It all comes down to Hoenn's Kingdra in the back, and this guy is a monster. Kingdra is fairly strong already, and only carries a dragon type weakness in this gen. Okay, so just get a dragon type then, right? Well, good luck with that. Under level constraints, that's either a Shelgon or a Flygon. Flygon is pretty good though, it should get the job done. Well, not so fast. Kingdra has an Ice Beam on deck, ready to obliterate that thing. Okay, well what about neutral damage? You see, there you are playing right into Hoenn's hand. Double team on something as naturally bulky as Kingdra is devious behavior. 1 or 2 of those and suddenly you need luck to win. My favorite part is that Hoenn uses double team and not something like smokescreen, because evasion boosting remains even after the opponent is defeated, meaning Kingdra can really sweep your team on its own. As if that wasn't bad enough, Kingdra also has Rest and a Chesto Berry ready if you can chip it down enough. I know Flannery got knocked a bit because her team had only 1 good Pokemon, but this Kingdra is on a whole different level. The rest of Hoenn's team should be thanking it. Never thought I'd see a Love Disc on a top team, but here we are. And that's all. Congrats to you, Hoenn, and to all of the Hoenn gym leaders. You all performed admirably, and I must say again, this is a really good region for tough gym battles. I had a ton of fun trying to figure out where they each rank on my personal list. I look forward to seeing yours in the comments below. Stay tuned for SInnoh's ranking, which I'm hoping to make way sooner than the gap between the Johto one of these and this one. Yeah, and this also, it's just good to be back. I took a little break from the YouTube stuff, and I'm excited to dive more into these long form videos. Anyway, I'm Slam Gaming, and have a great rest of your day.